much for coming out tonight, and welcome to Live at the Apollo. It was lovely the way I was introduced there. It's really nice to be introduced. It's a really nice thing to get used to in a new job, when somebody says your name and people clap and cheer. It's lovely. It was a little bit weird at the doctor's the other day. Nobody clapped. Every time I said clap, I think they thought that's what I had. But I decided in January, I think a lot of people do this in January, decided in January to try to sort of better myself. I'm not really bothered about losing weight, but I quite like the idea of getting fit, so I thought I'd get myself an exercise DVD. Now, you know when your partner goes shopping and they say, do you want anything? And you're supposed to say no, but instead you give them a list. I love doing that. Sometimes I just make shit up I don't even need just to see his face. And he looks at the list and he goes, what's the difference between a tangerine and a satsuma? Ha-ha, it's a test. And I said to him, could you get us an exercise DVD? That's what I thought I'd do. I'd get an exercise DVD. I said, just like a bog standard, like a beginner's guide, a very basic exercise DVD. And he said, no problem. He came home with Davina's Buff Your Abs. I'm going to have to lose 3 stone before I can find me bloody abs. So I took it back and I swapped it for the one that I wanted, which was, you know, just fat lass has a go, you know. Or the sequel, Fat Lass Tries Again. And I watched the first few minutes, and you know how it's always a celebrity and a trainer, isn't it? Because a celebrity sells the DVDs and the trainer knows what they're doing. And in the first few minutes, they were both laughing at nothing. It was very unnerving. And the trainer said to the celebrity, why don't you tell the viewers at home what weight you were when you started this regime? The celebrity went, when I started this regime, I was 10 stone. I realised then that I'm aiming for a start weight. But I like to eat. Is that so bad? I like to eat. Sometimes I think I've got a tapeworm, but that it's just full. But I'm trying to eat more healthily. I had an apple the other day. Thank you. I put it in my handbag on an optimistic Monday. And by the Thursday, there weren't any Kit Kats left. And I was starving. I thought, I'm going to have to find it. So I looked around in my handbag. And I found it. It was prematurely bruised and battered. It had pen on it. But I was starving, so I peeled off the clean panty liner and I ate it. And it was all right. It was all right. It really reminded me of something I'd had years ago that I liked, and I was like, what does it remind me of? I can't remember. Toffee apples. I know we've got some recognisable faces in. We've got Olympic medalist Colin Jackson in. Hello, love. See, Colin Jackson, it's all right for you. You've got like a safety net, because if things ever get tight, sort of money-wise, you can just head off with your medals to Cash for Gold, can't you? And we've got lovely Alex and Matt from The One Show. You guys are on Twitter. You're both on Twitter, aren't you? I like Twitter. Give us a cheer if you're on Twitter. Loads of you. I like it, but it can sometimes be a little bit weird, can't it? I got a message from a fella a few weeks ago, and he said, I've got a bit of spare time on my hands, and I don't know whether to watch some porn or you. He's in. That struck me as being a little bit odd, because I don't know much about porn, but from what I can gather, it's sort of fantasy, isn't it? It's supposed to be unachievable things, you know, like having sex with 2 women at the same time, you know, or one. It's fine. It's fine. But I put myself firmly in the bracket of achievable. By that laughter, so do you shits. So that man's fantasy is a middle-aged, slightly overweight woman who witters on. Just wander around Asda, there's hundreds of me. Look along the end of your sofa, you might well be bloody married to one of me. But I live alone. Give us a cheer if you live alone. You sound very happy about it. Well done. See, I live alone. Something you might not know, the people who live on their own, is that you can still have breakfast in bed if you live on your own. Listen up, bitches. If I want breakfast in bed, what I do before I go to bed is I put a Twix on the bedside cabinet. And then when I wake up the next day, as my eyes are focusing, I think, there's a bloody Twix just there. But sometimes there's just a wrapper. I've obviously got up for a wee in the night and gone, Either that or the tooth fairy's moved over to the dark side. But I'm in a relationship at the moment. Give us a cheer, all the couples in. I've been with my fella now for 4 years. The only time we ever have problems is when it comes to present-giving time. Christmases, birthdays, that sort of thing. Because my boyfriend likes to buy me surprises. And I really don't like surprises. Anybody else doesn't really like surprises? A few of you. See, what we've done is we've got a happy medium now. Is I give him a list of pre-approved surprises. 5 or 6 things, he's allowed to pick one. I don't know which one it is, so it's still technically a surprise. It was my birthday at the end of May, and he came home a few days before my birthday, and he said, never guess what I've just done. I said, what have you just done? He said, I've gone off list. He said, I'm not even sure if you're going to like it. I said, why the hell did you buy it then? I mean, thank you. A friend of mine who doesn't really know us very well, she said, oh, that sounds like an engagement ring to me. I said, no, it sounds like kaplunk. Because a couple of years ago, I had really bad flu. You know, you've got really bad flu that you can't get out of bed and you just feel terrible. My boyfriend said, I'm going to go and get a present to cheer you up. Now, I'm quite easy to cheer up. I like flowers, I like chocolates, I'm a walking cliché. My favourite flowers are daffodils, which were in season at the time and were everywhere in buckets for £1. Chocolate-wise, I'm quite happy with a Twix or a Twills. You're talking £1.60 and I'm champion. He chose to disregard that relevant information and came home with something that he thought was entirely appropriate, which was a Mr. Potato Head. Still don't really know why. But ironically, when I opened the box, I wanted to rearrange his bloody face. But you know, when you've been together a few years, obviously you get to know each other a bit better. And there are new things that pop up about each other that turn each other on, and you don't know this. These new things can pop up about each other that turn you on, and they can pop up to the most unusual of places. We were having a carvery. I love a carvery. And with his pudding, he got a jug of custard. And he poured the custard onto his pudding. And then he licked the spout of the custard jug, and I was genuinely aroused. I just leaned over to him and I went, get in the car. Bring the custard. I've always been quite a late developer, always have been. Like, you know when you first find out about sex, about the birds and the bees? Give us a cheer if you found out via your family. A few of you. And what about if you found out via friends? So quite a lot of you unaccounted for. Do you just not know? I had a book. My mum bought me a book, and I've still got it now. It's a book by Claire Rayner, and it's got all of the parts of the body. It describes puberty. And in it, they call your vagina. They call it a baby-making hole. Now, I don't have babies, and I don't have any plans to have babies, so I kind of call mine that, kind of. So I call mine my cock cheerer upperer. I've always been quite cautious by nature, always have been. I've got a friend who's got what I call a very dangerous lifestyle. He thinks it's exciting, but I think it's dangerous. To me, exciting is when you start a new tea towel. Love it, love it. It's all been folded in the cupboard. No, just me. But my friend has a very dangerous lifestyle. He's quite open about his sexual exploits. He said to me, have you ever had sex on a kitchen sink? I've had sex on a kitchen sink. And I said, no. And I got home and I thought, am I a prude? I don't think I am, but maybe I am. So I said to my boyfriend, would you like to have sex on a kitchen sink? I get the impression it's supposed to be a bit more in the moment, isn't it? Rather than just, when you've done those dishes, get your arse on there. And he said, why would I want to have sex in a kitchen sink? That would be like eating your dinner out of a shoe. And my friend said, have you ever had sex on a plane? He said, I've had sex on a plane. And I said, no. And he said, that's dangerous, that's exciting. I said, well, I suppose it is, but I think having a massive shit with a queue outside on a plane is more dangerous. And I've definitely done that. And from the clapping, I can tell I'm not the only one. We're all members of the Pile High Club. Thanks for watching. You know, it'd be great. My brand new show, Bobby Dazzler, is out now and available exclusively on my website, sarahmillican.co.uk. Put the kettle on and settle in.